let's begin to talk about the importance of building early numeracy skills for students with significant intellectual disabilities. Earlier in this module, we talked about recent literature reviews in math. If you remember, there really wasn't very much out there to review, and the research that was conducted focused primarily on time and money instruction. Since that review, researchers have focused attention on the need to build instructional supports to help students gain new concepts and math skills, such as algebra, geometry, data analysis, and probability. We also reviewed the NCTM standards and the need to think about math in general to build students' use of numbers in multiple ways to solve various problems. The National Council for Teachers of Mathematics, NCTM, stresses the importance that all students must have mathematical competence to use math in their everyday lives. This is the exact focus all students need, especially those with severe disabilities. The ability to understand and use numbers has been shown to be indicative of success in later years. Think back to Latia for a minute. Her ability to use numbers, count, make sets, all of those are early numeracy skills. And all of those skills are going to help her access the Common Core state standards in later grades. Early numeracy skills are so important for all students, and we're spending time teaching explicitly. So, what exactly is early numeracy? There's multiple definitions out there, but all of them are very similar to each other. NCTM defines number sense or number concepts as the ability to understand numbers and use operations to make judgments and solve more complex problems. So, you can only imagine that as we build these math skills and concepts across multiple grade levels, and they align to the Common Core state standards, that these early math concepts are so important to allow our students to be able to truly access those standards. For example, think about a Common Core standard in upper elementary school, where students are asked to find the perimeter of an object. Students would need specific early numeracy skills such as the ability to identify numbers, understand that a number represents an amount or a length of a side. Finally, students would need to add these lengths together to represent the perimeter. While perimeter is a grade level standard, it would be very important for students to either have these early numeracy skills or have those early numeracy skills embedded into the lesson itself. Let's move to the next slide to learn more about the research on teaching math to young children and students with significant intellectual disabilities. Early numeracy skills are taught beginning in kindergarten and extend throughout the elementary school years. Many students who do not gain these skills are thought to lack exposure or are those with slow development. Students with significant intellectual disabilities may fall into actually both of these categories. Think about the math instruction for many students with disabilities. They often don't have that systematic math instruction based on good, solid math teachers. It's quite possible for many students with disabilities to receive math instruction, but the instruction itself doesn't follow a true math learning progression. For example, a student may be given a set of 6 counters and asked to count the materials. While this is a good skill to have, early numeracy skill instruction is built on the idea that students build these skills and concepts over time. So the same student would probably benefit more from building the ability to count 3 items on a line where they move each item off of the line as they're counting, before they actually get to the point where they're counting 6 random materials scattered on the table. That's a higher level math skill. Additionally, some research on alternate assessment outcomes has also shown that there's a large number of students in alternate assessments that don't have these early numeracy skills, even in middle and high school. So think back again to the example of finding perimeter in slide 3. As students are being asked to show achievement on grade level math standards, it's so important to provide students with the tools that they really need to understand and use these grade level skills. So a solid foundation in early numeracy skills is very essential to the progress and achievement of students in later grades. In response to the findings on alternate assessments by Towell, Reeves, and Kearns et al., Browder and colleagues at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte developed a conceptual model that investigated how to help build these early numeracy skills in elementary school age students with significant intellectual disability. They found that students could learn these foundational math concepts such as counting, number identification, the concept of equal, greater than, less than, and measurement through systematic instruction and repeated practice. The researchers specifically outlined lessons that included a context for the students where they could actually see the numbers being used, such as the beach or a racetrack. And then they developed math lessons based on learning progressions in early numeracy. Finally, a conceptual model was developed to help illustrate the need to build these early numeracy skills. But while doing this, we also need to continue to build those grade level access skills and use these skills to deepen students' conceptual knowledge, just like in the previous example of perimeter. Let's go on to the next slide to see an example of a step in the early numeracy curriculum listed here by Jimenez, Browder, and Saunders, and see how they explicitly look at teaching a math early numeracy skill. This is an example of how systematic instruction can be used to build a student's use of an early numeracy skill. In this example, the teacher is working to build the concept of creating sets with sums to 5. The graphic organizer at the bottom illustrates a tool that has shown to be successful in other math instruction for students with significant intellectual disability. We'll talk more about graphic organizers later in this module. The teacher also has a plan of how he or she will prompt the student using the least to most prompting system. Again, to learn more about prompting and feedback within systematic instruction, you can also visit the MAST module on systematic instruction. While this is only one example of a step in this particular lesson, it shows you how the explicit instruction should be within a lesson to build these skills. While some students may gain this skill quickly, other students will need multiple days or even weeks of instruction to move to the next step of the learning progression, which might be creating sets to 10. While working on this skill, the students will also be learning other early numeracy skills, such as counting to 5, identifying numbers to 5, maybe identifying the concept of equal, measurement to 5 inches. So let's return to our module for more on how to build these lessons that are aligned to the grade level standards for students in all grade levels. Because as you remember, we can't only teach these early numeracy skills. We must also continue to think about how grade level aligned instruction occurs.